This is County General on Beta 2. Go ahead.
We're incoming on Airvac 1 with 2 major traumas, 7-year-old boy and his dad, both multiple trauma.
Never mind that. Grab Lydia and Shuni and tell them to clear the trauma rooms. Go ahead, Airvac 1.
In the case of this Fear of Flying episode, it was really great because there was a whole subtext that was going on with all of these storylines. The Eric LaSalle beat, the Glenn Headley beat, the Noah Wiley beat, the domestic aspect of the Green and Lewis relationship.
What?
None. All of that stuff was plotted out pretty much in advance. It's certainly a year in advance.
We wanted to do an extravaganza for television, going out in the field, really going to Chicago.
It was big production stuff, landing helicopters with people trapped in cars and blood and babies, and all of that stuff is quite challenging.
So we created Fear of Flying.
Oh, God.
Flight rotation was like the highlight of my residency. You'll be fine.
I'll be thousands of feet in the air and something shaped like a baked potato with a frat beanie on it.
Actually, it's only hundreds of feet.
Oh, God!
When doctors are being trained, particularly emergency physicians, they have to go on transport.
Did you know this was a requirement for your residency?
What was I thinking?
And I do know a doctor who's very afraid of flying, and it's just another element that I think, the writers really get about doctors are human beings.
My knees won't go!
Come on, stay low.
Our director had some issues with flying, so we were sent up in the helicopter just with the camera because it was crowded, because the director's like, no, it's okay, you guys just go up.
Dee McManus, Susan Lewis.
Hi. First flight?
It went very well. It probably went a lot faster because I refused to get in the helicopter because I don't like to fly.
Chris doesn't like to fly, period.
I was down safely. The helicopters are just rocks with propellers. That's what they are.
Because we went up without the director, we were like, oh, it's fall, and he was like, oh, I'll show you the trees. So we'd run the scene with camera a couple times, and then we'd buzz the parks, and it was gorgeous.
I was wondering where they were, and actually, I think it pushed us into a couple of meal penalties, and I told her I was going to dock her check if she ever did that again.
Oh, man.
We had to find a place where we can control a road and an intersection, because it was going to take us a couple of days to shoot the exterior stuff for the wreck site.
This guy's a pediatrician.
Really?
Yep, his family's in the van. Wife and newborn baby girl.
It's a little tough to direct babies because they have a mind of their own, and they're going to cry when they want to cry, and they're going to, do what they do. And you have a limited time on the set with them because they're infants, and back then I think it was 20 minutes of shooting time in one day.
Hey, darling, are you hurt? Or are you just mad at the world?
It just gave this tension to the scene that you couldn't create even if you had all the time in the world to work with this little baby.
What do we have?
Blunt abdominal trauma, hypotensive intraperitoneal hemorrhage confirmed by lavage, probably a spleen. Facial trauma, intubated in the field with an RSI. H&H is 1132. Type and cross 4, 650 cc's of saline Versed on board.
Way to go, Carter.
It's another notch on that belt of finally feeling adequate enough, competent enough, and studied enough to be able to deliver a differential on a patient, looking at attending straight in the eye, not apologizing for it, not second-guessing it, and, acting like a doctor.
There was finite gradations in terms of the way he kind of, through the course of the year actually, arrived at the doctor he was, and it was always amazing for me to just sit back and watch him do that stuff. I don't know how he does it, but he was quite amazing for such a young actor.
Oh, what blue
92 room air.
When we were looking to cast the pediatric surgeon, we wanted someone who had a gentleness to her. We wanted a woman because that would be interesting against Benton, who doesn't get along with women that well. And we wanted her to be soothing, but we wanted her to have some toughness too when she needed to. And we wanted her to be intuitive.
There we go.
Wow. I couldn't see or feel a vein.
Well, it's just a matter of knowing where it is.
That she knew a lot of tricks from experience as opposed to from the book, because Benton was always reading the book.
Any thoughts on antibiotics?
Well, since you don't need anaerobic coverage on newborns, I'd go with Amp and Gen.
You've been reading.
She just was a really kind of different energy among kind of the series regulars that we had on the show.
As to the soothing presence, You know, a lot of people told me that when they watched it. I wasn't really aware of that. I wasn't, all I was trying to do was play a good pediatrician.
In the newborn, I use a transverse abdominal incision. The rectus is thin, so there's less pain post-op.
I think actually that Abby Keaton a lot of times would talk to a patient or the relative of the patient, and this is going to sound strange, but almost like she was talking to their soul, because giving strength to the soul of the person is really helpful in getting them better.
Care to join me in a sarcoma resection?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Good. Gan can cover in trauma calls, scrubbing in 45 minutes.
Don't you just love her?
Carter and Keaton, the relationship between those two characters was just seeded in this episode, and so it was a little bit of a challenge to kind of see the heat and see the admiration that the Carter character had for the Keaton character without kind of being over the top.
It's just experience, Doctor. With Carter, I had kind of more of an emotional and kind of let my hair down camaraderie with him. And with Benton, I responded to him on an intellectual level.
So she has these two men who are always competing with one another too, competing for her affection.
It's an interesting triangle because, in essence, he's my superior and she is his superior. But by having a personal relationship with her, I am now sort of subverting that hierarchy by having her ear in a way that he can't. Well, I smile because Glenn neglected to tell the producers that she was extremely pregnant when she got the job.
I had to walk behind a lot of carts after a while, and nobody in my family really got big before, so I didn't think that I would get big, but I actually put on 70 pounds.
So we had to devise ways to hide her belly. Now the scrubs that she wears obviously was a good thing because they're kind of baggy. But you know, when you wanted to do a shot where you wanted to see her full figure walking down the hall, you couldn't do those shots. So it's directing is a series of compromises, let's say.
We had this really interesting debate while we were writing the show about whether or not we should show that she was pregnant and that Carter would be in love with a pregnant woman. In retrospect, I think it would have been really interesting if we had done it.
We're swamped.
He's covering Helly's vacation shift.
Got a float coming down at 9.
The last nurse who floated down here hid in the bathroom all day.
Who is it? Sterling from MedSurg West.
Rhonda Sterling?
Yeah, what's wrong with her?
She's a floor nurse.
Oh, come on, guys, give her a chance.
I'm not babysitting her.
Me neither.
Those nurses are very proud and very well trained to do emergency work. They are a bit disdainful about other areas of nursing because they feel like they're in the trenches. So to bring a nurse from med-surg down who is not doing anything like they do and put her into such a calamitous series of events is sheer torture.
He's scared to death. He's got to be sedated.
Get a Versed 1 milligram IV.
Where is it? No. It's clotted. I need that saline.
Need another nurse.
Let's go.
Exactly. Give you something to help you sleep, okay? Help you sleep.
All right, here we go. Hold him. Whoa!
What's it? Does it hurt? It hurts.
Are you sure that's saline?
Oh my God, that's potassium.
How much went in?
About a quarter cc.
It felt very real to me, you know, in terms of the conflict and what nurses go through and how hard they have to work. I remember there's a scene where I had this kind of little metaphor where I asked Jeannie O'Hara to kneel down and was stalking the cart.
Things can get really pressured in here. Just isn't a place for someone who isn't experienced. I can't have you work here again.
Just to kind of symbolize how selfless these nurses are that come to work every day and work so hard with the public in not very attractive situations.
It was a way of also illustrating something that Juliana Margulies' character was going through too, which is she's managing the place, and it was sort of a very beginning of her journey trying to decide whether she was going to become a doctor.